Hey guys, happy Saturday! As always, I am here to talk about an episode of an animated superhero series. Today, I will be talking about the episode of Batman the Animated Series titled The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. This episode opens with some unscrupulous characters blackmailing a judge from Gotham City, and Batman just happens to be hanging out on the bridge where this transaction is taking place. The bad guys get away, but pretty quickly Batman and Jim Gordon find out that they were working for the vacation resort where the judge had recently been. Batman decides to pay a visit as Bruce Wayne, where he discovers that Professor Hugo Strange has a machine that reads the thoughts of his patients, and he is using this machine to blackmail his patients. He finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and hilarity ensues. So I have to say, the basic idea of this episode isn't all that bad, really. Hugo Strange, when he did appear in the comics, was always a villain who fought Batman more on an intellectual level rather than a physical level, so it would be interesting to see someone match wits with Batman in this show. Sure, we've seen that already in episodes like Christmas with the Joker, The Clock King, and The Cape and Cowl Conspiracy, but it could have still worked out well here. And we've never really had to see Batman fight tooth and nail to protect his secret identity. We've always known that just about every superhero tries to keep their identity a secret, but very rarely do we ever actually see their identity in danger of being revealed to someone who doesn't need to know it. So with that at stake, this episode had the potential to be something really wonderful. So how in blue blazes did it turn out to be so awful in just about every way? To start off with, this episode just bears way too many similarities with the episode Eternal Youth. Both episodes feature a supervillain undercover working at a vacation resort and then attacking the patrons in one way or another. In Eternal Youth, it was physical attacks against the CEOs who were vacationing there, while here it's blackmail. Still, when you get right down to it, the two episodes have way more similarities than they do dissimilarities. Following that, I just don't get Hugo Strange. Sometimes you have a supervillain who has some sort of fantastical technology, and they are using it for the most mundane and stupid thing possible. I invented something that could predict the future, but they all laughed at me and called me mad, so I will use it to get my revenge on them, and also fight the superhero, because that's what the plot needs me to do. Instead, why don't you just, sell your technology and make billions of dollars and retire happily at the ripe age of 30? I get it, that would make for a very boring superhero story, but which is worse? Boring stories, or stories where the characters do extraordinarily stupid things so that the plot can happen in the way that the writers want it to? Take this episode, for instance. Hugo Strange has invented a machine that literally lets you see what a person is thinking. That kind of technology would be worth billions. I could see every nation in the world wanting to pay high dollar for something like that. So why in blue blazes is Strange using it to squeeze chump change out of his patients in Gotham City? Again, I get it. Strange acting in his own interest and doing less illegal stuff and making more money for himself, that would not be a very interesting story. But tough cookies. If the episode that you have constructed has a plot hole that is so fundamentally bad that it makes no sense at all, then maybe you need to take this whole episode back to the drawing board. So the whole premise of this episode is A, far too similar to a previous episode that honestly does what this episode did a whole lot better, and B, this episode just makes no kind of sense on a character level. But wait, there's more! In what is perhaps Hugo Strange's one shining moment of intelligence, once he knows the secret identity of Batman, he decides to go auction it off to a panel of Batman's villains. But the list of available villains who this episode could actually use is kind of small. We end up getting the Penguin, who we've seen only once, and I never got the feeling that Batman was really that much of a thorn in Penguin's side. At least not enough for Penguin to want to pay $1 million to find out Batman's true identity. And we get the Joker, which, yeah, I can buy that. He's had enough encounters with Batman in this series, and probably a couple that we haven't seen, that I believe that he would want to buy the secret identity of Batman. And then we get Two-Face? What? I've said before that in this series, Two-Face doesn't really work as a recurring villain because the motivations that we get in this series just do not work in the long run. He has two personalities, yeah, and he loves his fiancée greatly. And we even saw that he had taken up a life of crime in his origin episode, but that was only to spite Rupert Thorne. They were hitting up Thorne's establishments, not a McDonald's to get some extra cash. So why in blue blazes is Two-Face trying to buy the secret identity of Batman? Does he have a life of crime that Batman has been putting a stop to behind the scenes? That's really the only way that his presence here makes any sense, really. It's very much like Hugo Strange using his machine in literally the dumbest way possible. The only way for this to happen is for a character in the episode to not use his brain at all. So Two-Face, for no real reason, wants to buy the identity of Batman. Now, if this episode was written by a 4-year-old, then I could understand. At a young age, you don't look at these people as human beings with complex emotions and goals. You look at them as good guys and bad guys. Two-Face is a bad guy, so of course he would try to find out the secret identity of Batman. But that dog won't go hunting, because this show has at least made the attempt to play these people as real people with real human emotions and the like, and that is why this does not work here. After this, things basically play out the way that you would think that they would. Batman is able to substitute a false tape for the one that Hugo Strange is going to play for the villains, which makes Strange look like he was going to cheat the villains. Then Batman is able to stop them all from killing Strange, and then oh boy, the dumbest thing in the entire series happens. We see Bruce Wayne come in to assure everyone that he and Batman are not the same person because they're both standing right next to each other. And of course, it's Robin dressed up as Bruce Wayne. I know this was a recurring thing back in the 1960s in the comic books, where Batman would dress up as Superman so that Lois Lane would temporarily be fooled into believing that Clark Kent was not Superman. But there's a time and place for that sort of tomfoolery, and the time is the past and not now. The reason that you usually don't see this kind of thing play out anymore is because it's stupid. There is not a synthetic skin in existence that Dick Grayson could wear on his face to fool people into thinking that he is the real Bruce Wayne. Try putting on a rubber mask of a celebrity or a politician, and you're not going to go up to someone and make them think that you are that celebrity or politician. What is going to happen is, you'll go up to them and they'll say, "Who is it behind that mask?" This is just immensely dumb. I don't even think I'm exaggerating at all when I say that this is the stupidest thing ever to happen in this series. I cannot wait to see this series try to top this moment. Overall, awful, awful episode. I am really looking forward to the next episode because there is no way in 1,000 hecks that it could be this bad. So that's about all I have to say here, guys. Usually I'm more up about these episodes, so if you're interested, be sure to check in every Saturday to see me talk about an episode of Batman Beyond or an episode of Batman the Animated Series. And be sure to come back throughout the week to see me review other things. So until then, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.